Hey guys, this is OddOneGaming. This is going to be another Dragonheir SilentGods video. In today's video, I want to talk about another one of the chief challenges from Season 3. And this time around, we're going to tackle the poison boss that takes extra damage from lightning. And the reason why I want to talk about this and what I want to show is the fact that even though you're going to see some higher numbers, you're going to see that I am using 2 legendaries. This one, from my point of view, is pretty easy to do with just epics or below, as long as you have the key components in order to get this one done. So first of all, let's have a look at the boss's skills, and basically the boss is Stegomuffin, okay? The one that has a mark that he places on the battle skill on the target with the highest attack, and basically every time the hero will shoot an additional arrow whenever he deals a basic attack to that person that is marked. So you do want to keep this in mind, because every time he attacks, he has this passive. When he deals damage to enemies, there's a 25% chance to inflict a random debuff. Attack penalty, crit rate, crit damage penalty, and attack speed penalty. And then on the ultimate, he hits in a diamond-shaped area doing poison damage, and obviously that one counts as a hit, and every time that happens, there's a chance to get those debuffs on you. So that's the thing that you want to keep in mind, and because of that reason, this is the positioning that I noticed works for me, and that's basically you have 2 melee units going forward, you have your support that's gonna be, you know, doing some cleansing, healing, whatever you're gonna use, and then 2 other DPS on the sides, or I think it could even work something like this. Then one thing that you do want to keep in mind is, for example, if I place them like this, but the person with the highest attack is Nimbus, in my case, then the boss is gonna hit in such a way that it's gonna hit Nimbus as well, because I think it could hit all of them, or if it was something like here. So usually what you would try to do, I think, and the way that I did it, is I tried to make the initial mark be on Shelter. Okay, the reason for that is, well, he's already gonna get some of those debuffs whenever the boss does the ultimate, so might as well have him take the one, because we're gonna have a chance for Nathaniel to cleanse it. Now let me start doing the run, and while this one's happening, I'm gonna explain every single person's role. So first of all, let's talk about the MVP from a free-to-play perspective. Your MVP is going to be Shelter, okay? When it comes to Dauntless, if you don't have Ivelios, which you see that I have over here, Shelter is the next best thing, or I think, you know, Nazhenka is gonna be as well, but again, we're trying to talk more free-to-play relatable, more epic relatable, so Shelter is gonna be your best bet, and this is what you're gonna use over here, and basically I'm gonna show you at the end, but you're gonna wanna have him built with as much enlightenment and attack as you can. Then the next one that I use as another DPS is Nimbus, another epic. He's just amazing because he does lots of attacks, he attacks really fast, he has amazing attack speed, and he's going to be amazing to enable Shelter's damage from Shelter's ultimate. And then the last one is obviously Ivelios that I'm using as a DPS, but Ivelios is not mandatory. You're going to lose obviously some damage, but you're still going to have Shelter that will be enabled. So Ivelios can be replaced by anybody else that does lots of attack fast, that you know, will continue to enable Shelter from his ultimate. And honestly, the best replacement, if we're talking epic or lower, I think, because of the way that the positionings work, from my point of view, would be Yagnats. Okay, he's a rare, but his ultimate is on a 16 second total recharge time, so he's gonna be doing that pretty fast, and that's gonna just make him be one of the best ones to use in this team. You can obviously use Shagrol and other stuff like that. If you have legendaries, you can use Thervol. He's definitely gonna be one of the best. So yeah, that's the core of the Dauntless team. Now when it comes to support, I noticed that from the ones that I have, or at least epics or lower, the best one in this case is going to be Nathaniel, because what he does is on the battle skill, you see he does a cleanse, he puts a recovery over time, but then at the same time on his ultimate he's going to be doing the shield, and that's going to allow you to, you know, keep your people alive. Keep in mind, these are the only 3 that you care about having survivability. These 2 you just don't care, because they're rarely gonna get hit. They only get hit if your main target for the mark, like for example Shelter, like this, he has attack penalty. If he has attack penalty, then the boss switches targets to somebody else, because somebody else will have higher attack. You do want to keep that in mind, so be really careful when doing your run. And then the last one in this spot, you see that I am using Rippercast. He brings lots of RNG in this fight, because he can push back some of the ultimate energy, and he can land some You know, he can run basically 5 debuffs, but it's at random, so he's not a guaranteed decrease attack in this team. The best replacement for Rippercast, which maybe is actually even better than using this team, I just don't have his replacement built yet, but the best replacement for him would be Kirza, okay? That's the epic that we got in Season 2. I think she was the one from, Pillar of Trials, and basically what she brings is she brings triple hit on the ultimate, attack penalty, recharge speed penalty when as well, so she's just gonna be amazing against this fight. And because you get so many debuffs, she's just gonna come back to her ultimate more and more often, because every time an ally is inflicted with a debuff, she gains ultimate energy. So I honestly think she's gonna be better. I'm gonna build her as well at a certain point. It's just I built so many people, it becomes harder and harder to do that. But just to show you, and like, you know, if you look over here at the damage, just to show you that it's not, you know, it's not mandatory to have legendaries in this team, and that's why I said this one can be done, you know, 22 million can easily be done with just epics or lower. It's the fact that you can see that even though I put my best gear on Ivelios, Shalter is still on par with them, okay? Shalter still is over there with a good damage because of his because of the enabling that he brings with his ultimate. So again, you don't really need Ivelios. If you don't have Ivelios, obviously any other enabler does lots of attacks fast. Like I said, Yagnats, Shagrol, maybe even Vani. Even Vani could work, I guess, because she can hit pretty decently, but at the same time, she also brings you attack speed up, okay? For it's only for your Dauntless people, but you're gonna have 3 in the team, so that should be really helpful. You can see that the damages keep ramping up. I think that the total damage that I ended up at the end was something like 44 million or something like that. It does depend a little bit on the RNG of what debuffs land on you, if you land the Witch's Remains and whatnot. So yeah, it's a pretty fun team, and I guess this one's not as easy as the other ones they show. Like the Ice Blast one was too easy, honestly, from my point of view. But still, it's pretty easy, and everybody should be able, even if you don't have any legendaries in this pairing of Lightning and Necrosis, even if you don't have any legendary, it should be pretty easy for you to just do the 22 million at least and then move on with your day. You can see I'm already at 40 million, and like I said, I think I'm gonna cap at like 44 million or something like that. But, you know, I'm going to be happy with that. I'm not going to keep it. Keep in mind, don't keep your damage. Wait till the last day or the last day that you can do it, because in case you're trying to place as high as possible, because you might get better gear, you might be getting better runes and all that. So you always want to try and maximize this if you care about placing in the ranking, so you can get yourself more of those resources for the event. But as you can see, there we go, 44.7 million damage. I'm going to show you the damage from everybody, and then I'm going to also show you a little bit the builds. Like I said, I'm not going to be saving this key this time around. So we can see top damage is Ivelios, 37.5%, but then close after, 36.8%, is Shalter. Even though he got a ton of debuffs because he's in the front line, he still did a ton of damage. And even Nimbus, 21.6%, even though he was, you know, mostly an enabler. And then obviously the supports and tank, not too much damage. Now, let's have a quick look at the presets. You definitely want to have them in this order, and this one's going to be like, you know, the tank you always want to go first, or whoever's going to be your Witch's Remains enabler. In my case, is Rippercast because he hits 3 times, so he goes first, and then every 20 seconds. Next one's going to be Shalter because he's going to put that Blessing of Thunder for 15 seconds, then every time they strike, they have a chance to proc the damage from his ultimate. And then the next one's going to be Ivelios in my case, but for you, if you don't have Ivelios, like I said, if you use somebody else, just make sure they go after Shalter. And again, Nimbus is last because he's going to basically be enabling Ivelios and Shalter. When it comes to, to Nathaniel, I just let him full YOLO. He does his shield when he has it ready. He does his, his battle skill whenever he has it ready, and it works just fine, as you noticed. Now, if you have a look at the builds, when it comes to Rippercast, or, you know, the tank in my case, or whoever's going to be your tank, get them in an Ancestral Protection if you want, just to help soak up some of the damage, at least from Shalter. But it's not mandatory. If you can try and get your, your Kirza to actually do some damage as well and survive, just go ahead and do that. Why not? Pump as much damage as you can, and that's going to be the way to go. When it comes to Nathaniel, I gave him as much enlightenment as I could because his shields are based off of target max HP and enlightenment. So you want to have that as much as you can. And then I also have on him the Elminster artifact, but if you do not have this one, you can go with the Tiara. is not going to be as good, but still is going to be good enough. It's a perfect replacement for this one. Because for this one, you know, it just extends duration of the buffs, but increases the size. So you basically lose 10% shield size and a little bit of duration. It's not going to be game changing. It's still going to help you if you don't have that one. Then the next one is going to be Shelter. So Shelter, I have him in the... I don't know the name of this. Is the one that boosts derivative damage. Unclean Bloodline. 3P set that gives us increased damage from derivative damage. So I do have attack percent gloves, then enlightenment and attack if I can, and then again enlightenment and attack, and an enlightenment chest. One thing that I noticed that's really amazing for him is this one, the Ravatrix's Roots. If you have this, use this one. If not, you go with the Violink. But the reason why this one's so good is because this is what enables him to be the target for the mark of the boss. Because like I said, he's already in the front line. This one's just going to give him a ton of attack, which means he's always going to be the one that has the highest attack. Even though you see it's only 4,300 over here, because of this one getting another 30%, it's another 30% of the total. So basically he's going to get another, what's that, 430, 860, 1300. So basically he gets close to almost 6,000 attack. So that's why Ravatrix Roots is amazing. It also gives him HP as well, which can make him tanky and survive. Then the next one in my case was Ivelios. He's basically in the same set that gives, you know, as much enlightenment as I could, and also gave him this glove that boosts his damage when doing damage to targets under defense penalty. So even though he had this as well, he still was on par with Shelter, which did not have this type of an artifact. So if I could give this to Shelter instead, I'm quite sure Shelter will do more damage. So, you know, that just puts in perspective how good this can be. Now obviously I use on him the Harpy's Nail because this is what boosts Ivelios' passive damage. That's what you care about, and from what I've tested, Harpy's Nail is always better than the Violink on Ivelios, so keep that in mind. And then the last one's going to be Nimbus, which I basically gave him as much attack speed as I could, and then I give him the attack speed set, the Rhapsodist Calling, that gives you more attack speed, and then increases the damage because his basic attacks will ignore defense, and all of his attacks are basic attacks. So that's what you want to keep in mind. And also gave him the Goblet. I feel like the Goblet is the perfect artifact for him, especially because it gives him another 20 extra crit rate. So yeah, think we're gonna leave it at this for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this gave you an idea of how you can build your team, you know, even if you don't have the good legendaries. Trust me, you saw that I did double the necessary damage. So even if you don't have these two legendaries, Ripacats and Ivelios, and even if you don't have all the legendary artifacts, like even if you don't, I think even with Thou Witch's Remains, even with the Crown of the Unclean, you should be able to still hit that 22 million damage. But this is gonna be it for today, guys. Thank you all for watching. As always, if you do enjoy my content, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel to see when I upload next, and I'm gonna see you on the next one. Peace, love, take care, everyone. Bye, guys.